Good morning, evening, afternoon, I'm Tina Cat. Welcome to my channel. Today we are playing Plot. Previously, we were talking about the blue badger being in the way of stuff in the trial. And yeah, that's where we left off. So let's continue with that and see how the blue badger interfered. Please take a look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime scene. Well, what? That's right. So long as the blue badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. What? Rabble. So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright! I changed her voice to Maya's voice. Mr. Wright? Think it through scientifically. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in? Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor. It may sound like far-fetched balderdash, Your Honor. But it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled, not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amounts of blood fell. The problem is, the other time, someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. Objection! That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. Objection! Well, I eject your objection, apparently. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. Are we just going to keep objecting? So then, assuming this murder you purport to really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize the defense's claim that we're going around in circles. I suppose this is good because if this trial is taking so long, you need a summary of it in the middle of it. Prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well then, tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when first? There's only one thing that tells us the time of things that happened, and that's the thing, the ID record thing. Nothing else gives us times of things that happened, so. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card. Oh, the ID card record. I'm getting hot. Gotta take off my hood. Officer Meekins brought the blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. Ah, the judge. Come on, judge. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Ah. No. It was not. It was not Edgeworth. Ah. Miles Edgeworth? Just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope. I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminal tests that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 777777777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of this card being used beforehand, He must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only possible explanation. He went with 77777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777777777777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 77777777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who's so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
Objection!
But that's ridiculous. Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? I skipped that line. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not you. To her. The defendant. Sitting over there. Your own little executive. Oh, Lana? Don't be stupid. She's being charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 77777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. That trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt powerless of the law. At least I did. Lana? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the one being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial, 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me an investigator in that crime in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? District crimes require Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. Alana! Even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. The feeling of, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. No. No. Order! 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 Anna's remarks did something. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. To be continued. Man. February 24th, 3:12 p.m. Wright & Co. Law Office. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm so sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew what the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean by what happened to you? It's all here in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yes. I was a witness in a Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. Well, it does list her name as witnesses. What do you mean you didn't see it coming? That she was a witness? Or that she was almost murdered? Because I hope it was the latter. Because it says that she was a witness. Alright, well, let's talk to her. No, she's all traumatized and whatnot, but sure, let's dig deeper into those wounds. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about the time of the year 2, about this time of year 2. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day. Unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. And suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage. But before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck, and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw there buried a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. A permanent picture? Did you take it? Did you print out a copy? After the incident, I remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean, it's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Yeah, curse you for being traumatized. How dare you, child? Poor thing. You may not be the brightest bulb in the box, but you're still a bulb, even if you're mildly dimmer than the other ones. One day, you might be shiny, but you still didn't deserve all that. Don't blame yourself, kid. Edgeworth really was, falsified evidence. After the case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold, like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did. Especially not to Emma. But did you see the instant that crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma. You've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grow up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies and find evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that's bothering me about this crime. Let's ask you something puzzling. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at the time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course! This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective officer and the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective. I better have another talk with her. Another talk with her we shall have, okay? February 24th, detention center, visitor's room. Lana! Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should I? We, even. But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the rules, risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Who? About how you were a detective 2 years ago. And how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. I suppose I do. Well, I do have to say, as much as I complain about this game has a way of keeping you on your toes. It does the thing that I love to hate, where it it doesn't get to the point. As much as I want to get like, just let me do the trial. It's nice. It sometimes it does feel like the pace is slow, but you know, it's nice that it paces itself. I mean, it's kind of like, I can't watch a normal TV show. I have to binge watch everything. That's just a me thing. But they did. I thought it was gonna like get Marshall, and Marshall's gonna be the one, and we would be in the trial for the rest of the time of this case. But yep, they sent me out to investigate. So we'll see what we investigate more of in the next episode. Till then, see you next time.